Hello, my loves. Let me say something very clearly. A man can be 50 years old. He can even have a house. He can even own a company, even a few children, and still can be just a boy in a man's costume. And then you might meet another type of a man. Maybe he doesn't look as flashy. Maybe he's not loud or charismatic. But the moment you sit across from him, your entire nervous system exhales. And your soul says, I feel safe. That's not just a man. That is king energy. And if you're lucky, an emperor. So today, I want to teach you something I wish every woman in this planet was taught before she even went on that first date. Because women, we are not choosing wrongly because we are stupid, yeah? We are choosing wrong because no one even taught us the energetic differences between a boy, a man, a king, or an emperor. Right? So, welcome to the Apsara Academy. This is where we talk about real love, soul level healing, and unshakable feminine power. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my work because especially if you're a single chica who's found your way to my portal, I welcome you. I welcome all of my new subscribers. We're going to reach 1,000 subscribers very soon. I am deeply moved and touched. So thank you all to all of my new subscribers. All right, let's get back. You see, like my beauties, there was a time in my life when honestly I really believe that if a man said all the right things, right? If he had on paper he had a job, he paid the bills during our dates, and he called me baby, and he told me I looked beautiful, that meant I really thought that meant he was emotionally available, that he was ready for real love, real commitment, that he will be safe. But I had to learn the hard way many times over that not every man who says he wants commitment can actually hold one. Not every man who gives you attention can contain your bigness. And not every man who calls you his queen can truly stand in his king energy. Right? I remember one man in particular. He was charming, successful on paper, very perfect. He even talked about marriage by around the second month. But the deeper I opened up to him, the more emotionally absent he became. He got silent during conflicts, right? He even used to mock my feelings in a joking way, saying I was too sensitive. And suddenly, ladies, I realized I was literally shrinking myself around him. I had started over functioning, I became his caretaker. But deep down somewhere, my soul knew that wasn't love. And I figured out after a while that he was just nothing wrong with him, right? I'm not here blaming men or dumping on them, right? I just realized that unconsciously he was still actually in his boy energy, but he was pretending to be a man. Okay, that was the moment everything changed for me. It was pretty much the beginning of my sacred obsession, understanding and learning and studying about healthy masculine energetics. Not just about how a man looks on the outside, right? It's not about his height, weight, color, six pack. It's not about that. Masculine energy, ladies, is not about that at all. The movies and the music and the Matrix might have programmed or conditioned you to believe these aesthetic things about masculinity, but trust me, stay with me in this video. Masculine energy is not about the aesthetics of masculinity, right? So thanks to that experience, right, I'm looking back, it's like 2020 clear vision for me at the moment. I'm deeply grateful for that therapy ships, as I call it in my world, that happened to me when I was single a lifetime ago. Because that really got me started on this journey of studying about masculine energy, healthy masculine energy versus toxic masculinity, and all of those things. I've literally dedicated over 12, 13 years studying about relational subjects, ladies. And I really wish I had a video like this back in the day when I was single. So don't forget to share this video if it lands. If you feel that it's of value to you, don't forget to share this video to that single friend of yours or that relative of yours, that sister of yours, who you know is longing and desiring real love in life, and who's probably also started actively dating. Maybe she's just started or already put her profile on one of these dating sites and she's going out on those dates, right? Don't forget to send this video to that one soul in your life, right? Even if it's that one girl doesn't mind, please share this video with her, because I truly wish I had this content with me. Somebody told me all of these things, taught me all of these things when I was in my single girl era. But it's okay, all ended up well, so there's no worries. But I really wish, that is why I've created this portal, my YouTube channel for you ladies, because I wish I had a sister, right? Who knew and understood and embodied these things, from whom I could learn. So that is why I have created Apsara Academy for all of you beauties, because many of us, right, don't come from environments and situations where we've learned about healthy femininity, healthy masculinity, and peaceful, healthy, non-toxic ways of how these two energies interact with each other, how in a relationship, right? So many of us have not seen these templates in action in our real circumstances, in our real life. So we don't know what healthy masculinity looks like. We don't know what a healthy partnership, marriage, relationship looks like, right? So yes, so welcome again to all my new beauties, and let's get going, right? So yes, ladies, I've literally put thousands of hours of study behind this topic, huge topic called of relational dynamics, right? And I've also guided a few clients through heartbreaks and healings, and watched women completely transform their love lives by learning this one that I'm going to teach you in this video, right? Remember, ladies, you cannot change a man's stage, all right? We're going to talk shortly about 4 stages of a man, and trust me, ladies, you can't actually change a man, all right? That's not your responsibility, and truly you don't have the power to do all of those things, but you can choose wisely, all right, which stage of a man you are going to choose as your life partner, as your husband, right? You have that choice, you have that power of choice. So you can choose which energetic stage of a man that you are going to choose for marriage. And that's what we are going to do today. Yeah, we're going to decode what the 4 energetic stages of men is, so you never again confuse polish from presence, charm from character, or attention from actual presence. All right, so let's begin with the bottom of the energetic ladder. Okay, if this is the masculine energetic ladder, we're going to start here. And who is here? I call this archetype the boy. All right, the boy archetype. You'll recognize him almost immediately, especially once you embody this knowledge and you understand it deeply, right? Especially if you're paying attention to your body, your feelings, and not your mind, right? Because the boy, he's often very charming. He can be funny, he can be spontaneous, even wildly romantic, right, in the beginning. And if you're not anchored in your discernment, he might even feel like soulmate material. Why? Because he's emotionally chaotic, and for many of us, that chaos is familiar. It's the familiar template for us. But here's the truth, darling. The boy doesn't want partnership. He actually needs a mother, a therapist, a woman to hold space for his inconsistency while he calls the relationship deep and deep connection and this or that. Okay, so I'm going to get into, so this is the masculine energetic maturity pyramid. All right. Now, and yes, the boy is at the very bottom of it. So I'm going to give it to you in a very simple form, right? Like how, sorry, if I'm leaning in, it's because I'm getting a lot of WhatsApp. I have all of my, everything connected to my tab. So pardon me. Okay. Right. So the boy, right? He, see, I don't want to, like I said, okay, PS, my channel, my work is not about bashing men or emasculating men in any way. Trust me, I have 2 sons. I'm married. So I love men. I have beautiful, wonderful, healthy masculine energies all around me, friends, my father, right? So they've done so much for me. They support, protect, provide, and they come on. So this channel is not about bashing men. So I want to get that right. Okay, if you are here hating on men, thinking that men are evil and all of those things, I'm not the right channel for you. So I'm like putting it right there. And even in my comment section, ladies, I want some disciplines around this value system of mine. We're not going to be bashing men in any shape or form. If I find in any of my comments now or in the future some chica out there, right, emasculating men or shaming them or like completely dogging them, I would just be prepared for your comments to be taken down. Okay, right. Having said that, let's get into this, right? So yeah, the boy energies. So emotionally, he's immature, right? Which means there's a lot of up and downs around his emotions, right? His nervous system can be very unregulated. I see that with my sons even, right? They're young. They're just one is heading into his next level of college, and the other one is just going to start college. And I can already see, the erratic nature, because they've not learned how they've not learned about themselves. They've not learned how to regulate their own nervous systems, right? And emotionally quite immature. They're just clueless. They're kids, they're babies, they're boys, all right? So some of the typical patterns that you will see in them is emotional volatility, maybe immaturity, completely unregulated nervous system. Like if something happens, if shit hits the fan, they might disappear, they might be unavailable, they might be disappear for days, or they might pull up a fight, trigger sensitive, you know what I mean, right? So now these souls, right, men who are at this energetic level, they seek to be loved, not to love. All right, they need things, they need to be provided for, they cannot provide. So and also the tricky things is, they might gaslight you because they don't hold the center core themselves, right? So they might blame you, and or they might gaslight you, or they might avoid conflicts altogether. They might like literally escape, right? Ladies, I think the light is going down. It's quite late. It's almost 6 p.m. here when I'm doing this video. So if the light goes off too much, right? If the light literally goes off, I might stop this video and go back into a different setup. All right. So pardon me if there is a chop and change in this video, right? So, okay, let me give you an example of a boy. All right. Now, I had a client, a powerful woman, in fact, right? Multi 6-figure income, a brilliant mind, ran her own business. And she fell for this man who would send her love poems at 2 a.m. in the morning, tell her that she was the one for him. He used to cry on the phone about how deeply he felt for my client, right? But then disappear for 3 days if she asked like where the relationship was going, right? That, my love, is classic boy energy. Big emotional waves, but no anchor, all right? He's mastered the performance of love, but cannot hold real love. Okay, now what I'm going to do is draw this nervous system response spectrum, all right? Your nervous system. We're not talking about the guy here. We're going to talk about your responses, your nervous system response to these energetics hierarchy, all right? So the first response is, I'm just going to draw one twirl here, all right? It's like overdrive. We're talking like overdrive. We're talking like anxiousness, like hypervigilance, like chaos, right? Then the second, and guess who will put your nervous system at this state, right? We're talking about the boy energetics here, of course. Now the second nervous system state is a feeling of unsureness, right? Like an unsettled feeling, unsure, right? The third nervous system response is neutral. And the other end of the spectrum of this overdrive, like your nervous system on overdrive, the other end of the spectrum is safe. Your nervous system can relax, it can be held, it can even be healed. For some of us women who come from trauma, this is where your nervous system can actually recalibrate, have the time and space to heal even. Okay, so this is what I call the your response, the spectrum, right? Your nervous system responds to these energetic categories of men. And of course, this is where, like I mentioned, right? This is what your nervous system will feel like around the boy. All right, it'll be like activated, like chaotic, even. Like, guys, are you able to see anything? Maybe I'll just stop this video, right? Okay. All right, chaotic, ups and downs. You might also feel like you're constantly auditioning for love, right? You're like asking for love, pretending for love, performing for love. Now, come on, having said all these things, there are some fun pro aspects of being with the boy, right? Sometimes it might feel exciting, all right? There's fire and passion and chemistry. He'll mirror back the romantic fantasy that we've all been programmed or conditioned into believing is romance, right? So he'll mirror all of those back to you quite beautifully. What romance is supposed to look like, and through that we've learned is supposed to look like through the movies and music and pop culture, and what the Matrix has conditioned and programmed us women to think of is romance. He also thinks that's romance, and he will mirror that to you. Okay, so it's getting really dark. Okay, and you'll always feel like you're carrying the emotional labor just to keep the connection alive, right? You'll become the emotional adult in the relationship in due course because of this, and you'll start mothering a man who doesn't realize he's not showing up for you, right? And if this is marriage, forget it, beauties. If this is marriage, just forget it. All right, the boy isn't mature for marriage. He's dangerous, in fact, to your feminine nervous system, right? Because every time he drops the ball, you will have to carry it, and that's hard. That'll make life hard for you. And then there might be times you'll start blaming yourself for being too much, too emotional, too needy. And women, we already carry a lot. We already self-judge, self-criticize, self-blame. And this situation, therapy ship, is not going to help that at all. Okay, so I'm going to stop this here and come back to you from a different setup, love. So yes, my darling, the boy energies can be quite dangerous for the feminine nervous system. All right, so I'm going to draw what I call the marriage box. All right, this is like danger marriage box. Okay, and the boy archetype falls into this. Why? If you marry the boy archetype, you will fall into the danger marriage box. Why? Because you have to become his mother, his caretaker, sometimes his shrink. You will have to constantly keep over functioning, right? You'll have to carry your own self, your future, your legacy. You have to carry him, you have to carry your babies, right? And in the end, you will start questioning your worth. So right now, if you're single and you're dating someone, or I'm sorry, my heart goes out to you if you're married to who you think could be a boy energy, and if you're wondering whether you are with a boy, I'd like you to ask yourself this question. Do I feel like I'm parenting him emotionally, while secretly hoping he'll become the man I have imagined? Are you dating his potential, right? That's the trap, ladies. The way out is the truth. The way out is the truth all the time. Okay, face the truth. Know yourself. And you can only know yourself if you face the truth. So go grab your journal, take that pen and ask yourself this question. Do I feel like I am his mother? Do I feel like I'm parenting him emotionally all the time? And am I secretly hoping that one day he's going to grow up and become the man that I've imagined it to be? I'm the mother of two sons, darlings. That's what mothers do. We provide, we protect, we overfunction, we nurture, we do everything. And we have this vision of who our sons are going to become one day in the future. Are you doing this with your romantic partner, future husband? Right? That is the trap that you get into. It's a trap because nurturing is also a part of our feminine nervous system. But then nurturing has to go to the right sources, darling. It has to go to firstly yourself. Nurture yourself first. And then nurture your fur babies, nurture your human children. Right? Nurture your legacy, nurture your entrepreneurial creative ventures. Your man is not a baby boy for you to mother him or parent him, my darling. So this is the trap we get into because we have a natural nurturing tendency towards us, but it's completely directed in the at the wrong space. So you cannot turn a boy into a king or an emperor, right? You can only choose whether or not you're gonna keep trying and keep doing this thing. But let me just give you the hard truth here. You cannot change any man, especially a man, right? You can just choose to keep trying. Worst case scenario. So let's move up, yeah? Let's move up one level up in the masculine energetic pyramid. And one level up is the man. This is where it gets very tricky. It's very tricky, right? If the boy is chaotic and inconsistent, the man is functional. He shows up, right? He goes to work. He probably owns a car. He takes you out on a date and he remembers your birthday. He might even look like husband material. That's why it is tricky. But here's the thing, yeah, the man is often the most dangerous archetype, especially for high achieving women, because he feels stable on the surface, but underneath all that polish is a deeply unanchored masculine core. Okay, so he is one step above the boy, all right, in terms of he is functional, all right, he is goal oriented, he could be very logical, he could have plans, and he'll be talking overcompensatorily too much about his plans and his actions, too much talk about plans in the future, maybe, like, right? He might even be charismatic more than the boy with all the surface trappings, but then he is emotionally inconsistent. All right, he might perform presence but cannot sustain it for a long period of time. Let me share a real story with you. One of my clients, yes, she was a deeply sensitive person in the healing arts, and she fell in love with this man who pretty much ticked all her boxes, right? He was successful, charming, well-spoken. He talked about marriage. Used to say things like, you know, we should name our daughter after your mother, right? Beautiful things like that. But every time she brought up a vulnerable feeling, he used to intellectualize it, dismiss it, deflect it with jokes. And when she needed real support, he suddenly was too busy with work or would say something like, don't be too dramatic, you're too emotional, right? So he was present until she needed him to truly contain her. So we're going to talk about the performative masculine chart, okay? So the performative masculine chart. So this is basically like what he says, the difference between what he says, right? Talk, the silver tongue. This guy, this archetype can have this silver tongue. So he might come across very, very attractive, very glittery, and very charismatic because he might have learned all the right things to say. All right, the songs, the poetry, the words, right? So what he says and what he does. So this is a performative masculine chart. So he has performative masculinity, not real core deep masculinity. So he might say stuff like, I want a family. But then when some real conflict arises in the relationship, the family unit, he avoids it. Right? He might say things like sweet silver tongue words of, you're my queen, you're my wife, you're the mother of my children, but doesn't take emotional responsibility. He might use words like, we are in this together, darling, right? But leaves when things get hard. So here's the illusion of a man. He's built just enough structure in his life to appear like a king, the third category, but energetically he's still driven by ego, achievements, and control, and not service or devotion. He knows how to talk about commitment, but he hasn't actually devoted himself to the growth that real commitment requires. Right? So when we look at the nervous system scale of how the feminine nervous system responds to the man archetype, right? It is, see, with the boy archetype, if you remember, it's all chaos. The nervous system of the feminine nervous system gets all chaotic around the boy archetype. Now, the feminine nervous system around the man archetype is what I call gets unsure, right? It puts the feminine archetype into a state of constant hyper awareness. He activates the unsure, confused, lost feeling in the feminine nervous system, this kind of a archetype. So you are mostly in the state of hyper awareness, unsureness, confusion, imbalanced, right? Not in a state of peace, calm, balance, safety, security. How might that play out, you might ask me? So you're probably always trying to read between the lines. You might be waiting for the shoe to drop, second guessing if you are being too needy, too much, wondering what is wrong, wondering if he's emotionally available or unavailable, or if you are emotionally unavailable or something's wrong with you, right? So these are all the ways it can play out. Now, what are the pros, all right? What are the lovely things about dating this kind of a guy and marrying this kind of a guy, all right? What are the pros? Now, the man usually offers stability. He might even provide financially. He knows how to look good to your parents, to your friends, on Instagram, on social media, right? He knows the script. But there is a cost. There is a cost. You will consistently feel like you have to be less to make the relationship work, right? You need to be less emotional, less expressive, less intuitive. And he's not growing alongside you. He's sort of holding a leash on how much you're allowed to expand. All right? So now we're going to talk about what I call the marriage danger box, right? So these two archetypes, if you marry them, you will fall under the marriage danger danger box, guys. If you marry the boy or the man, you will fall under the marriage danger box. All right? So if you marry a man, marriage danger box, you will be over functioning. You will shrink your emotional truth. You might even be praised for being low maintenance. You will feel lonely inside the partnership. You will feel alone in your marriage. So if you're wondering if you're dating the man, because it can be tricky, okay? Or if you're wondering if you're married to one, my heart goes out to you. I used to be, okay? Ask yourself these questions, ladies. Journal on it. Go as deep as you can on these questions. This is the question. Ask yourself this. Does he show up in conflict or shut down? Does he witness your emotions, or does he try to change them or correct them or gaslight them totally? Does he build a future with you or talk about a future but never really arrive at it? Right? If he talks like a king but disappears when it really matters, my love, you're not with a man worth marrying. You're with a mirror of your emotional starvation. But we are about to leave that behind, yeah? Now you are stepping into sacred masculine frequency of the husband-coded king. And ladies, the king, this is where the real love story begins. Real love frequencies. Okay, I would strongly suggest you go and watch one of my older videos. It's called 4 Pillars of Real Love, and something along the lines of you are not too much, you're just too real. To go deeply, to further understand the frequencies of healthy real love. Okay, so let's step into the real beginnings of sacred partnerships now, where fantasies end and devotion begins, ladies. All right, we're talking about the third archetype, the husbandry-coded king. Now, unlike the boy and the man, the king isn't trying to impress you, right? He's not here to charm you or silver tongue you. He might not even be good at these types of performative love. He might not have the swagger. And he's not rushing the fantasy about talking about forever love on the second date. Yeah, no. The king is building a kingdom. And when he chooses you, it's because he sees you as his queen, not as a decoration piece, arm candy, not as a role, right? But as the sacred feminine force who will help him steward something real. All right. So in the masculine maturity energetic pyramid, the husbandry-coded king type man, the third archetype, right? He's emotionally attuned. He is protective and present. He is values driven. He brings clear leadership and clarity to the relationship and the marriage. He knows how to regulate himself. He creates very naturally safety and not chaos. All right. So here is what is unique about the king, darling. All right. He doesn't see commitment as a restriction or a prison. These two archetypes might. All right. The king archetype sees commitment as a sacred structure. He doesn't disappear during conflict, for instance, right? He slows down, he listens, he contains. He doesn't punish you for your emotions, for instance, right? He holds them with reverence instead, like a man tending to something sacred. I'll never forget a friend I used to know, right? And she used to have this thrilling ride, this roller coaster ride of a relationship. That's what she was used to. And she, after a while of a lot of deep work, of course, right? She met this gentleman, and she told me that she thought that there was something wrong when she met this beautiful gentleman who's her now husband, all right? Because he didn't play games. He was consistent, right? He asked how she felt, and then when she answered that question, he was actively listening. She almost self-sabotaged, all right? Because her nervous system had never felt that kind of peace, that kind of safety in a romantic relationship. So this husbandry-coded king archetype, all right? He has what I call the trinity, the masculine trinity. On top of it is purpose. On this side is presence, and this side is provision. So presence and provision and purpose. So he holds the masculine trinity, right? This is the signature of a king. He's not just present when it's easy, right? He stays when it's hard, especially when it's hard. He provides not just materially, but emotionally as well. And his presence is bigger than status, like it's rooted in values and real service to you, darling. Ladies, let me know in the comment section, right, which famous couple comes to mind when we talk about these archetypes, be it the man, the boy, or the king-coded archetype, right? The husbandry-coded king type guy. Now, let me know in the comments. I would love to know who comes to your mind when we talk about celebrity couples, right? Couples who just have the glamour of it all, but then the real core, safe, steady, secure relationship, marriage is not there, right? So these kind of marriages, right? They don't just have the energetic glamour. They won't just hold glamour, right? They would have grown through struggles, right? He pursues his purpose, and she stands by him, like in her power, beside him, not behind him, right? And they are co-creating, like the king queen dynamic, right? They're co-creating their lives together. So let me know in the comments which couple comes to mind for you, for which architect. I would love to know. I know for me right now, a couple of couples come to mind, but I don't want to digress. On that note, I want to talk about a series of videos that I do. So make sure you hit the notification button, darlings, because we go very, very deeply into a series of videos called Decoding the Bond series. And I've already released one of them. It's about Cassie Ventura and P. Diddy, their bond. Go back into my videos and watch it, ladies. It's such a beautiful video, potent content, embodiment oriented deep teaching, where I take you through a lot of embodiment practices, a lot of self-inquiry questions, journal prompts, breath work, and embodiment exercises. I walk you through them, and through the mirror of P. Diddy and Cassie's relationship, we use it as a mirror. Through that mirror, we do a lot of self-inquiry, embodiment work, and understand this thing called trauma bonds. So it's a very beautiful video. If this calls out to you, make sure you go back to my history list and watch that video, right? It's a new series that I'm coming up with. It's called Decode the Bond. And let me know in the comments, ladies, if some celebrity couples pop into your mind. Give me suggestions who you would like me to consider for our next Decode the Bond series, right? Let me know. I would love to hear. So yes, let's come back to the Husbandry-Coded King type, right? He is, what were we talking about? I lost my train of thought there for a bit. Yeah, let me know any celebrity couples who comes to mind. All right, now let's talk about the pros, right? The real pros of marrying a man like this. Husbandry-coded king type man. Trust me, I know these pros, okay, because I married a man who holds this energetics. So strongly recommend, ladies, strongly recommend. And I used to be in relationships and one failed marriage with men who fell under these these archetypes, and no, I will not wish it for my worst enemy. All right, it's hard, it's a hard life. So this is like broken heart, the marriage jail, all right, the danger box of marriage. Now we are getting into the pros, all right, the pros of marrying a king type husbandry-coded man. What are we talking about? We're talking about consistency, right? Not perfection. Nothing is perfect here, okay? But we're talking about consistency all the time. Not perfection, but consistency, energetic consistency, right? He takes your needs seriously. He never looks at your needs as burdens, but as sacred assignments almost, right? He will try to merge your dreams and purpose together into this in his own sacred purpose in his life. He will carry on your dreams and visions and goals and purposes onto his purposes, all right? He makes you feel emotionally held without having to abandon any parts of yourself, okay? So you will feel emotionally safe, very, very emotionally safe and secure. And the cons, yes, there are some cons. There are always higher octaves and lower octaves to anything in life. So the lower octave of marrying a king type husbandry-coded man is that he might not always be flashy, right? He might not sweep you off your feet in the beginning. So you might feel bored and like, oh, I'm better than this, and all of those kind of things might crop up for you. He might often get overlooked by women, right? Addicted to drama or performance. And he might definitely get overlooked by women who consider like the performative masculinity to be, who think, you know, the Bugatti men's of the world, you know what I'm talking about, is what masculinity is about, you know, the performative outward in masculinity. Women have been programmed and conditioned into thinking that that's a high value man. But in my humble opinion, no. Even the Bugatti men of the world, right, they can fall under the boy or the man. We are talking energetics here, all right, the frequencies and energy stuff that's behind the veil. So unfortunately, women are programmed to believe that, you know, some of you know what I'm talking about, right? The Bugatti man Many women are programmed to think that that's high value masculinity because of all the masculine trappings that he has accumulated around him: height, six pack, Bugattis, and billions, and whatnot. In my books, that's the tricky man. Okay, there are the third archetype, more evolved energetics of the masculine, the fourth archetype, the emperor, right? If you're lucky enough to know an emperor in your life, you will know what I'm talking about, but we'll get into that in a bit, right? So the con of marrying the king is that he will be that, like one of my best friends says, right? He is the brown paper bag type of a guy, unlike the glittery, shiny birthday gifts wrapping bag, right? The brown paper bag is something that you can use every day, 365 days in a year, right? It can hold vegetables and fruits and sustenance for you, right? But it might not be Instagrammable or Facebookable, all right, or TikTokable. But the glittery birthday wrapper can be gifted online on Instagram and done all the glittery swagger around. Am I making sense? Am I coming through, beauties? Right? So that's what we're talking about here. That's the con of the negative aspect of the king. It's not something that's glittery on the outside. It's not something that has the swagger. He's been busy building his kingdom. He's not had time in his life, or he's deeper than that. He's much, much more deeper than that. Okay, so that's the only con that I can think about. The fact that he might not be shiny enough for the kind of world we live in, unfortunately. Okay, but oh my gosh, I'm married to the husbandry-coded king type man, ladies. Take it from me. All right, he is shiny when it in his heart and his soul. Right, that glitter, it's like diamond. Right, so let's talk about the pros now. What are the pros of marrying the husbandry-coded king type man? You heal in his presence, right? You can become more of yourself, not less. You don't have to shrink yourself. Your femininity will deepen into softness, right? Your feminine can expand, softens, and it flourishes in the container that he provides for you. So marriage with a husbandry-coded king type man, you can rise into your softness. You co-create a stable, sacred home, right? Your nervous system can heal. You feel honored, right? And not managed. There is a difference. You will feel adored, cherished, and honored. So for me especially, right, in the initial stages of my marriage with my husband, the biggest thing that I realized was how much the marriage container that he was holding for me helped my nervous system heal, especially for us women who've, like I say in a funny way, right, the first 20 years of my life is what I call the trauma season. And literally, my husband knows this, the man who I felt emotionally safe with, my husband was the first man I felt emotionally safe with, secure with, right? So that has been my personal life journey when it comes to romantic relationships or the trauma in my past. So you can imagine, like, and I'm sure many of you beauties tuning in and listening to me and can relate to what I'm talking about, to this storyline. So we are used to unhealthy, toxic patterns of love, and we don't know, and we're not used to and not comfortable with the healthy patterns of real love, the healthy templates of real love, right? So our nervous system is wired in a wonky way, literally, because of this storyline, right? Our nervous system is like glitching and wired, all cross-wired up. And when you choose into a man who can look like a brown paper bag on the outside, right, the husbandry-coded king type archetype, the container that he provides for you spiritually, emotionally, This was the first thing I noticed in my marriage. My nervous system, layer by layer by layer, softened, relaxed, felt safe, and healing happened. Spiritual healing happened. I was able to become more of who I truly am, which I never could in any of my previous relationships or my first marriage. Right? So, this type of a soul, if you choose into it, can really heal your nervous system inside out, darlings. Right? Okay, so let's keep going. I digress there for a bit. Okay, so if you're wondering if the man you're choosing to marry or you're married to falls under this archetype, this energetic hierarchy, I want you to, if you're wondering and you're not clear yet, I want you to ask yourself this question, and this will give you that clarity. Okay? Ask yourself this question. Do I feel like I can be all of myself and he still stays? Do I feel like I can be all of myself and he still stays? Is he rooted in his values even when no one is watching? That's a good question you can ask. Is he rooted in his values even when no one is asking? Does his love feel like home? Not fireworks, right? But warm firelight. That's your answer. Now, yet, as incredible as the king might be, there is one more, all right, advanced energetic level. The man whose mission is bigger than love, darlings, all right? The man, his mission, as a soul has incarnated in this world, his mission, his purpose is actually bigger than love. Who leads not just you, but a legacy. All right. So this is the summit. This is the pinnacle of masculine energetics, the emperor, the man who doesn't just contain your heart, right, but amplifies your entire destiny. It's the highest octave of masculine energy. All right. It's the fourth archetype, the emperor. See, if the king builds a sacred home with you, the emperor builds an empire beside you. He's not here incarnate to love you, right? He's here to lead humanity. He will lead it with you to co-create something that serves not just your union, but the entire world, right? Let's get clear about something now. The emperor may or may not be rich, all right? He may or may not have public recognition. He might not show up in designer suits or Bugattis of the world or live in penthouses, right? But you'll know you've met an emperor because the moment you enter his field, your entire nervous system will recalibrate. Not chaos, not performance, but expansion, right? So the top tier masculine maturity, energetic maturity pyramid, the emperor. Who is he? He is sovereign. He knows who he is. He knows why he is in this world. He knows what he's living for. He is legacy driven. He is emotionally masterful, deeply humble. Let me repeat that again, darling. Deeply humble. Holds power without ego. All right? Creates generational impact. Let me give you an example. One of my dear friend, brother from another mother, right? Or I'm wondering if I should. Okay, I'm going to talk about another real life example. One of my clients, right, met her man, she was in her late 30s at that stage, right? And she met this guy. He was quiet, very observant, right? He was not flashy at all. But in that conversation with her, right, he really made her feel seen, not just heard, yeah, like fully really seen. Like he asked her about her work, her missions, her dreams, and when she shared her fears, like he didn't flinch. Like instead he said, like, I can hold that. I can hold all of that, right? I've built myself through all of these things. So it's not just a man or a king, right? It's an emperor. So what I'm going to do now is going to like show the difference between like a king and an emperor, so that way it will land deeper for us, right? For you, let me know in the comment section if you know an emperor, and uh, let the community know how your interaction with him was, right? When I talk about that feminine expansion, share it with the community. It might help someone else get a different perspective into what I'm talking about here. Okay, so anyway, now let me take you through the difference between a king, husbandry-coded king type archetype, and the emperor archetype. Okay, so when it comes to the king, right, he holds and he can create, and his need is to protect and provide and through a sacred container. The king is like value based love, all right? Prioritizes family, builds family, right? That's a sacred mission. Now, the emperor, all right, he is almost like a global container, okay? He is more purpose based leadership, all right? He shows up to you like on a purpose based leadership. And he builds legacy. If the king builds family, the emperor builds legacy. So both are powerful, both are sacred, but the emperor's field activates destinies, your destiny, your friend's destiny, the collective's destiny. So you don't just feel held, right? You feel amplified because of this. So let me know in the comments if any celebrity couple comes to mind when it comes to the emperor archetype, right? These type of couples, they're not just performing for the public, right? They are growing something real behind the scenes. That's the emperor energy, ladies. Right. So yes, like anything, everything has its higher octave and lower octave. Everything has its pros and cons, light and dark, good and bad, right? That's the polarized world that we live in. Polarity, right? It's part of everything. So let's talk the pros and the cons of the emperor archetype. So let's talk pros. So his see, I'm not married to an emperor type archetype, so if one of you beauties subscribe to my work, you are married to an emperor type archetype, let us know, give us the dish, right? I would love to hear from you. Right, so let's talk pros. His mere presence will sharpen your mission in life, right? And he will respect your fullness, not just your feminine softness, sweetness, smile, and your feminine curves and all your feminine graces. That's not just what he will desire and crave. He will respect your fullness, okay? He, of course, brings the structure, safety, and spiritual gravitas. So, and you don't have to ask for his loyalty, yeah, because it is who he is, ladies. Don't believe all of these matrix lies that people talk about. Yes, there are, of course, all right? I'm not going to lie to you. There are a percentage of men, small percentage of men who are more predatorial by nature, who are more performative, masculine. But there are many, 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 many emperors out there, ladies. I know many, right? In my own, I can think of a couple, in like a couple of them in my friend circle. I can think of a couple of men in my relatives, in my family circle. So loyalty is who he is. So, but there is, okay, let me talk about the shadow aspects, right? The shadow aspects of being married to the emperor. The cons would be he is so sovereign that he will mirror your unworthiness, okay? That might be one of the differences. That is one of the differences between the king type and the emperor type. The king type will not mirror your unworthiness as much as the emperor would. Okay, because the king's purpose is family, safety, security, but the emperor's purpose is legacy. Okay, so any type of unworthiness in your field, he will mirror it to you. And that's not easy for many women to handle, especially from their husbands, right? He will literally, this is another con, right? He will literally trigger the parts of you that are still afraid of being fully seen. So you must be in your empress codes. Okay, like I say, all of these masculine archetypes has a reciprocal feminine archetype. The boy has a girl. The boy, the girl, they attract each other. All right, that's the level playing field there. The man has the woman. The performative feminine has the performative masculine. The man, the woman. That's the reciprocity, reciprocal mirror. The king husband coded archetype has the reciprocal mirror of the wife coded queen. I consider energetically that's the state of evolution I am in. But everybody evolves, right? I'm in the evolutionary state of becoming the empress, who's the reciprocal counterpart of the emperor. And my husband is on his own journey of getting into the emperor codes, right? But however, both of us are at this level at the moment. So, like for instance, the king coded masculine archetype, he will not trigger you as much. He will make sure he holds safety over triggering through your shadows. But the emperor, right, he will trigger the parts of you that has to see the light of day, if you know what I mean. Okay, so you have to hold the codings of the empress and be emotionally mature to such an extent to be able to receive the energies of the emperor, or you will self-sabotage the relationship. Okay, so I'm going to draw the diamond symbol for the emperor and the crown symbol for the king. All right, so we've spoken about the marrying the king. Now, what will it be like to marry the diamond? Right. The emperor, marrying the emperor. You will rise into your mission, right? With the king, you'll be held to expand and grow and feel safe to show up. With the emperor, marrying the emperor, you will rise into your true soul's mission. You will become more magnetic, not less. All right? You will be protected, provided for, and elevated. With the king, you might be protected and provided for, but might not be elevated. With the emperor, you will be elevated. I hope you're able to get the slight differences. So, what else comes to mind? If you're dating who you think is an emperor, if you're married to one and you still are a little unsure, okay, how do you know if the man is your emperor, right? Ask yourself this question and the answers will reveal the truth to you. Does he activate your vision, right? Does he instigate it? Does he activate it? Do you feel both held and called higher because of your relationship with him? He holds you and his energies calls you higher into your evolution, into your ascension, right? Is his life already in service, even with or without you, by the way? All right, that's another stark difference between the husband coded king type man and the emperor. The king type coded man will need a wife to build the family, of course, right? But the emperor type man, he is sovereign. His sovereignty is at a different level, right? His before you, after you, with you, without you, his life is already in service, with or without you. You being his wife or not being his wife. Okay? So the next question you got to ask yourself, to know if this person is an emperor is, does his love expand your reach and anchor your soul? All right, that's not fantasy, that's spiritual partnership. And it exists, ladies, but only for the woman who's ready to stop playing small and truly steps into her queendom and her empress codes. All right, my love, let's zoom out for a bit, because it's easy to, get caught up with chemistry. It's easy to be seduced by charm or, consistency and whatnot. But what really matters is this, right? Who you marry determines the quality of your nervous system, your children's upbringing, your future wealth, your legacy, your self-worth, and your ability to stay connected to your feminine energy for decades to come, your generations. It influences it. So let's lay them all down side by side, all right? And let me show you what each archetype of a man creates when you marry him. Okay, so I'm gonna erase everything out. I think we are going to have a part 2 to this video, because there's a lot of things that's coming up, and it's quite late, and I do not want to make this a longer video than what it is already. Okay, okay. So okay, 4 columns. When you marry a boy, when you marry a man, when you marry the king, crown I'm wearing, and I'm putting a diamond here for the emperor. Okay, 4 columns: king, man, the boy, man, king, and the emperor. Okay, so what are the emotional costs? I'm going to link these 2 up. In my courses, in my world, in my channel, we talk relationship with the first 2 energetic archetype as therapy ships. Okay, not situationships, but therapy ships. Marriage, partnering with these two energies are therapy ships. All right, partnering with these 2 energies is marriage. So, is real love. This is therapy love. This is real love. This is karmic connections. This is dharmic connections. So, what is the emotional cost for the karmic connections, right? Versus the dharmic connections. So, we're going to look at burnout, anxiety, self-doubt, self-worth issues, resentment, okay? Compared to the dharmic connections of peace, regulation, expansion, deeper alignment, ascension, all right? Legacy. Now, when it comes to communication style, what happens with karmic relationships is avoidance, disappearance, deflection, gaslighting, over-rationalizing things, as opposed to the opposite dharmic connections of deep listening, presence, repair, anchor, guides you, right leadership, clarity. All right, now, who you become in a karmic connection, right? In time, you become his mother, you become his therapist. Here, who you will become is you become a queen or his legacy partner. Next, we're going to talk about the feminine state you will live in a karmic connection. It'll be all about a hard life. Okay, that's not what we are about here. You will have to lean into your masculine energy in whatever ways. You might have to become hyper vigilant. All right, energetically you might have to be walking on eggshells. You're talking numb, becoming small. All right, fight, flight, freeze response, fawning response. We're talking about leaning into your masculinity and carrying all the heavy lifting in the relationship, right? We're talking about burnout. Yeah, I think I mentioned it. All right, and as opposed to those stuff in a dharmic relationship with a king or an emperor, what your feminine energies will be like contained. You can sink deeper into your femininity. You feel safe, you can express more, you feel honored, you feel radiant, you feel creative, unstoppable, right? So long-term of outcomes, let's get into the long-term outcomes now. So with a boy or a man, you literally have to lose yourself, and you will start resenting yourself in the long run. We're talking health issues, so many things, right? Opposite side of the spectrum, you will heal deeper, you will expand more, you will birth a new world with him. So ladies, this is the map, all right? This is the cost of choosing from fear, fantasy, or familiarity, right? And the reward of doing the inner work, healing your nervous system, and the reward of choosing from wisdom, embodiment, and discernment. Let me say this too. So many women are stuck in therapy, right? Not because something is wrong with them, but because they choose the wrong man. A boy will leave you questioning your own self-worth. A man will keep you trapped in a performance loop. A king, on the other side, the king will honor your heart. And the emperor will like build a new timeline with you all together, right? Remember, my beauties, the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of the man you allow to lead you. So choose the one whose leadership brings your soul, not just your body, all right, brings your soul back home. Right, so I'm gonna just end this video with this. We'll have a part 2 later on. I love you. Let me know in the comments if anything landed, if anything resonated. And ladies, if you know of that one girl in your friend circle or your relative circle, someone who's single and or who's actively dating and who's put her profile online, send her this video, share this video with her, and if it's meant to be, she will learn, even if it's that one drop of wisdom from this video. All right, I love you, I see you, and I hope you are living your best life.